Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, Cesar Espino, and today I have a special guest. Her name is Carla Simpson. Hey, Carla.
Hi, guys. How are you going? Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, definitely. So let me just give our listeners a little bit of your background so they can get to know you. Carla is an inspirational, motivational speaker and author of all things happiness. Carla has been spreading her message around the world that happiness is a conscious choice and we can all say yes to life. She helps to empower people to live with purpose, smile every day, and amplify their happiness, joy, and abundance with everyone they encounter. Carla wants to help you claim your happiness with total confidence and ease and has created a toolkit, a step-by-step guide to help people make a difference in their lives so they too can say yes to life no matter what difficulty they are facing. Life's a journey, but let's try it and smile, laugh a little bit more on the way. Man, I definitely love that, and definitely want to learn more about that journey. Tell us where you're tuning in. Where do you live, and more about your upbringing too.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Australian, so Aussie. Yeah, and I'm in Australia now. So I live an hour and a half north of Sydney. Have you been to Australia?
I have not. I definitely need to go. Definitely need to go. One of my places that I need to go visit.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm very blessed. I love it here. So I live in a little town called Yamina, which I live just about a street away from the beach.
Oh.
So I swim. I swim in the ocean every day, even in the winter months. So it's a little bit chilly here at the moment, but not as cold as some winters, obviously. Right. So yeah, I grew up in Australia. I grew up in this area. And then when I turned like 18 or so, I moved to Sydney. And then from there, I moved over to New York and London. And I spent about 3.5 years overseas, traveling and backpacking and, experiencing life. And then I came home and landed back pretty much where I grew up. I feel blessed to live where I do.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So as you were growing up, and that's, I think, one of the things I love the idea and what you're talking about, that happiness is a conscious choice, right? And so growing up, did you ever see any kind of challenges, or you were always a very happy person, or how was that for you? Because I know sometimes people they don't necessarily find that immediately, or it's not right there. They got to work for it and do a lot of self-work and things of that nature. So how was that for you?
Oh, for sure. I've always been a happy child. Like, don't get me wrong, life's always been, pretty good. And I spent that time traveling and, doing lots of things. But I think, like so many of us, I was caught, and this is, a lot of my journey. I was caught in this treadmill of life. So, you wake up to the alarm, you quickly get that shot of coffee to then get to your job, to then work 8 hours so you can get home, maybe go to the gym if you feel like you have any energy, and then try and get to go to bed so you can wake up and do exactly the same thing the next day. So I was unaware that I was caught up in that at that time. And, like for me, I thought life was pretty good. I had my own business and I was really, doing that hustle, really hustling. And I didn't ever realize that I'd sort of lost myself. I got so caught being busy, and, you know, busy has become this new like cool word. And I was proud to say that I was always busy. And, you know, I started to notice that my friends were saying, you know, things like, oh, Carla, we didn't invite you because we know you're always busy, you're always working. And I mean, that didn't hit me straight away either. And it was actually in a yoga class one day where, and I wasn't a I'm a yoga teacher now, and I hated yoga at the time, but I was laying in the yoga class, and there was a teacher who said, you know, it's now time to turn off the monkey mind. And if you don't think you have a monkey mind, like this second voice inside your head that's always telling you, you got to do something, you got to be somewhere else, you know, you got to strive for the next thing. That's your voice that's telling you that right now. And for me at that moment, like, I was so unaware that I had this, you know, other voice inside my head, and that I was always constantly achieving and constantly going, that I sort of like had this moment where I was like, shit. And that was sort of the start of my journey into finding out what true happiness was. And I started going to yoga, I started meditating, and then I started asking myself, you know, the question is, if I really am happy? And, you know, that's something that I like to ask all, you know, everyone I speak to, clients or your listeners, is, you know, if you really had to stop yourself and ask, are you happy right now? And I don't just mean life, I've got kids, like, because all that's what we think happiness is. But if you truly ask yourself deep down, like, if you're authentically so happy, a lot of us, you know, it's the statistics are showing us that we're not. And that was really my own observation of my own life. I was like, wow, I've forgotten how to smile. I'm not laughing out loud anymore. I've become so serious. And why? You know, life doesn't have to be so serious. So that was the sort of the start of the journey of my own personal journey. It made me happy. And I started, you know, implementing these things every single day into my life. You know, making a checklist of these happiness things that I could do. And then I started, you know, to really transform my life. And I feel so grateful for having that little bit of that awakening, because now I genuinely feel so happy. And I know that happiness is a conscious choice. And that's now what I'd help people to discover. And, you know, what makes you happy might be the total opposite of what makes me happy. But it's about, you know, and then what can we do every day to make sure that we're on that path? You know, we clean our teeth every day, we wash our hair, but a lot of us aren't taking the time to check in and see, you know, if we're actually happy. We're just caught, you know, doing the things that we need to do to get shit done.
Yeah. And one thing that you were talking about is, again, you kind of lost yourself, you know, in being busy, right? And we tend to see that more and more now. We are so busy just doing things that we forget to an extent take care of ourselves, right, in many different aspects. And I think maybe you find this with the people that you're helping. Do you believe that it's kind of like a balance to be able to obviously take care of your job or whatever it is that you're doing, and then at the same time balance the lifestyle to be able to find happiness within, or is that something that you got to work on at the conscious level?
Work on it consciously every day, you know. And it's not just about finding like, yes, balance is a huge part of it, but it's also reminding ourselves, you know, how often we might go for the walk down the street and we don't even stop and smile at anyone. We're so caught in our own zone, you know, or we don't even look up to notice the sun shining. We don't even, like, so many people don't even step outside their apartment all day to notice if it's sunny or it's raining. You know, I think it's these little moments where life is so much more about, life is so much more broad than what we often think it is. We get caught in this trap. So I think that, like anything we do every day, it's little habits that build up every day that create this momentum. And I don't think you can just fix it by finding a balance, because life is always going to be rickety and rockety. You know, sometimes, yes, we have to put more focus into our jobs or into our families, but I think we still have to have the priority of always putting ourselves number one, because our happiness is number one. And if we're happy, then we can share that with others. But if we haven't checked in with ourselves to find out if we're happy today, or what's going on with ourselves, how can we possibly be or show up to anyone else and bring and help them? That's how I think about it. I think it's an everyday choice, and for the rest of our life, we have to choose to do something and choose to create that happiness and bring more joy into our day.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's awesome. So how did the idea come about, you writing a book on all things happiness? Was that more just to kind of get the message out and be able to get into more people? What is the book about? What are some of the things you're covering in that book?
Yeah, so I started, I already had 2 businesses here, and when I started to develop my own happiness toolkit, I was like, oh my goodness. And people were always asking me, oh, Carl, you're always smiling. You seem so bouncy. You've always got energy. What's going on, And I just said, oh, I've just discovered, I don't know. I've just had this big shift, and I've realized what my life's about and what my purpose is. And then someone originally said to me, well, you should, and she said, what's bringing you joy? And I said, oh, I love, listening to podcasts was number one. I said, I walk my dog every day and I just love listening to different podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And this was originally when the podcast came out.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And my friend said to me, oh, Carla, you'd be great on a podcast. You can chat, And I said, oh, I never really thought about it. I was like, I wouldn't even know how to do that, That was like, whoa. But the thing with Carla is, with myself, is when someone plants a seed, I can't stop thinking about it. It comes up a lot. And then I was like, oh, maybe I think I would enjoy a podcast. Right. So I, started Googling, and I launched my own podcast, which is called Get Happy Hour. And I launched that over about 2.5 years ago now. And then again, a lot of people were giving me feedback on the podcast, and I love reading. I'm a big book nerd. I read every day, on average about an hour every day.
Wow.
And someone said to me, so when are you going to write your own book? And I was like, oh, no, I'm not a writer. I'm a chatter. I like to chat, but grammar and all that sort of stuff isn't my thing, And someone said, well, you can get help with that, And again, that seed was planted. And I had a coach. I often get coached because I think, a lot of happiness comes from self-growth. And for me, I love to always be challenging myself and growing in different ways. And it was my coach who said, maybe it's time that you start coaching people and get your book and message out in the world. So that's how it all came about. And the book is basically, it's a step-by-step toolkit to helping the individual discover what makes them say yes to life, and how we can bring more joy into our day. So the same way I work with my clients is we go through and we discover what brings you happiness. So, I always ask people, what's the top 3 things in your life that make you smile from the inside out? So, it might be, for some people, what's yours? What really makes you smile from the inside out?
For me?
Yeah, for you. What do you love to do?
Right. No, I think for me, I think it comes down to having my own purpose. What am I going after? And I think once you tie a purpose to your life, or a meaning, everything that you do, I love doing this. I love podcasting. I love connecting with people.
Uh-huh.
And I think all of that to me is tied into that mission, that the idea of what I want to be able to do. And so I think it kind of going back to is actually a very interesting conversation, because again, when I used to work at a company, although I did have fun, it was very stressful. It wasn't fulfilling enough, right? And I think that's where a lot of people are stuck. You got to find that purpose, that I call it my highest intention, whatever that might be. And I think that within that, then you find happiness. Within that, you can find success, and success is not necessarily monetary value, is what it is to you, right? And so I do believe that there's more to it than just the label of what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And that's a great point. But what I love to do as well is I work with people in their everyday life. So for some people, right now, starting their own podcast or writing a book, if that's their purpose, might be a little bit whoa, I'm not ready for that yet. So what I do with my clients is we just work through little things. For me, some of the top things that I know will bring me happiness today, no matter what's going on. So, we're in lockdown here at the moment. So that can be a little bit daunting for me at times. So I make sure that I tick off at least 4 things on my happiness toolkit. So one of them is walking my dog every day. So I get to go out and walk. One of them is, for me, sitting down and reading. I love to read, meditating, and doing my yoga. So I make sure that every day I tick off one of those or 2 of those or 3 of those, or luckily enough, I still have 4 of those. But for some people, they might not be able to. So that's what I do with people, is we redesign their life so that every day they can add in these little pockets of joy. They can bring more laughter. They can bring more fun. They can add more variety into their life. We work through stepping through fear, because a lot of us, we might know that we're not happy right now, but it's really hard to step away from that partner if we've been together for so long and we know that we're not that happy, or to start that job, or to start my own business. It can be very scary. So what I love to do is guide people through that process. And but in the meantime, having that goal, but enjoying the journey along the way, because life is that journey. It's not so much the days that we remember, it's the moments. So how can I add more moments into my day that bring me joy?
Yeah, it kind of goes back to something that I kind of talk about a lot, and it is really one of the things that I want to be able to do when I'm pass on to a different life, is be able to have a lot of memories and not so much dreams, right? And I think that a lot of people have the dream of, I want to go to Europe, or I want to travel, I want to open up my own business, or have my own book, and these are all ideas for sure, and dreams. Except sometimes people do not do anything about it, and it just stays as a dream. And so for me, it's like, let me see how many of those, like you were talking about, the idea was implanted. And so now let me see if I can take that idea and make it a reality, so that I have more memories throughout my journey. And so when I'm on my deathbed, I'm not gonna die with all these dreams. Like, they all came about and came out into life. And I think that's part of it for me, being able to do many of those things, right, in life. Wanted to ask you, with everything, like, were there any lessons you've learned writing a book, right? You said you were not a writer. You definitely like to read. Were there any lessons that you learned through that journey of writing your own book? Something that you learned that you didn't see it before?
Oh, I learned so much more about myself. When you start to put pen to paper, like, all this shit comes out. I was like, whoa, Carla, I also learned not to be so hard on myself, because it's hard to write a book. For me, it was hard to write a book, to sit down every day. And as I said to you, I love to chat. I'm a teacher. I teach yoga. I'm a coach. So I'm always coaching people. But to sit there and, really structure my day so that I could write, but I added little pockets of joy into that as well. But I learned so much. And I really learned, I sort of revisited the fact that I live my message. I really do everything that's in my book every day. So I've been doing this for over 10 years now, and every single day I still do, the same little steps that I know that are going to bring me joy. And I might change that, but I really just, to be honest, I just learned more about myself. And I really learned that how I can help other people, because I truly am so passionate about people living a happy life. We live in these amazing countries, and we're, like, in Australia, we've got the 3rd highest rate in the world for suicide. It just doesn't make sense to me. So while I can help anyone to bring a bit more joy into their life, to smile more, to laugh more, then that's, a step for me in the right direction.
Yeah, no, I love that. And you talk about coach. Obviously, you do that yourself. You've gotten coaches, for your own journey. How important is that in the self-development of a person to be able to go to higher levels? Or do you not see it as important as many may make it seem?
Oh no, it's very important. For me, I've had a coach now. I'm 35 years old, and I reckon I've had a coach pretty much. I've gone through different coaches, so I've had quite a few now, but for the last over 10 years. Yeah. And I've invested a lot of money into that. I don't actually I would never tell my, people how much money I've invested, because, like, my family and that, they go, oh my God. But for me, I say to people, time, I would not be the person that I am without one. So before I invest in anything else, number one is me. Because again, my message is that if I'm happy, my number one job in life is for myself to be happy so that I can share that with others. And, it's knowing that we all grow, we all get stuck, but having that accountability coach is so good, because I'm pretty good. I'm motivated and stuff, but I still, I know that I've got my call next week and I've got to get shit done, or I've got to, take that next step, or I've got to dive into my fears and my blocks. And yeah, for sure, coaching is, I think, number one.
Yeah, and definitely. I mean, I think I'm just like you. I've have so many different coaches that have helped me throughout my journey, and definitely it's a big expense. When you think about it from that perspective. Then at the same time, though, I wouldn't do it any different, right? I think.
Me either. Totally.
Yeah. It's again, is you're working on yourself. Like, your number one priority should be you. There's a quote from this guy, Jim Rohn, and he said, make sure that you work harder on yourself than you do on anybody else, right? And that's very true. It comes back to that, whatever that might be, whether it's educating yourself, listening to this podcast, similar podcasts like this, or just getting to network with different people that are going to help you really level up to a different level, right? And as you talk about, find that happiness, because really that's the one of the most important things that we have in life, is being happy. Do you find doing a lot of gratitude combined with some of the practices to help people stay in a positive, happy state of mind?
Oh, for sure. Gratitude. I tell people gratitude changed my life. And at school, we're not really taught like to say thank you, like, say thank you, Mrs. whatever the teacher's name is. But yeah, we're never really taught it. And I can tell people, like, I'm very strong in gratitude, but the moment I really learned what gratitude was is, I'm not sure if your listeners or you're aware, but there's a trek that a lot of the Australian soldiers, when they were fighting back in World War times, it's called the Kokoda Trail, and it's in Papua New Guinea. And about probably 8 years ago now, I went over to Papua New Guinea and I did this trek, and it's pretty hectic, you're up and down hills, and you camp. It's a tough walk. Goes for 10 days or so. And my porter, he was carrying all my bags. You've got a porter, you pay a porter. And he says to me, and there was all us Australians that were walking, and everyone, we'd been out walking all day, and my group started to get really whingy and tired, and they're like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. When's the next meal? When's the next break? And my porter, he was this little guy carrying all my bags, and he says to me, oh, I don't get you, Aussies. He goes, you come to my country, and he goes, you pay me to take you to walk. He goes, but then all you do is you bloody whinge. He said, me, I walk all day, every day, no shoes on my feet. I don't know when I got to get fed, but when I go home and I see my wife and my baby, oh, me just so happy. And that for me was a big moment of like, oh my goodness, I have so much right now to be grateful for. It's ridiculous. And I know it's really hard at times to see that, but I've done lots of work. I've worked in orphanages in India and Africa, and I've traveled, over 52 countries. So I've had the luxury of seeing how other people live. But to even just sit here with technology that I can talk to you and we're in different countries, like, it's amazing. Right. There's so much. So yes, every day I write a gratitude list. I look for as many opportunities to say thank you, just the word thank you to people. I love writing thank you cards and delivering them to people. I do as much as I can to consistently remind myself that there is so much every day to be grateful for. And even when today, like days, don't get me wrong, like I have my days where, I feel like, sometimes I get in that slump. But the moment I use that gratitude or whatever, it makes a shift in me. Go do something for someone else, and, we're consistently reminded of how lucky we are. Yeah. And I'd also love to read, I told you I was a reader, but I love to read like books of other people, So I just finished reading the book of, oh God, what's his name now? He's the guy that played Superman, and he had the horse accident. What's his name? I had the mind blank. Anyways, people will know what I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about. He's in a wheelchair, right?
Yeah. And he got so he ended up in a wheelchair, and just reading his story, like, unbelievable. You know, you think like you're having a bad day and this grown man has to get someone to change his pants every single day because he can't change his own undies. You know, like, there's always someone that you can use that perspective on if you need a bit of a shift in that gratitude for me. But yes, gratitude, number 2 in the list. Self-development, gratitude, number 2 for sure.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I definitely, I think that's a key element in any one of our days and lives. One of the things that I have here in my notes is that you wanted to offer the listeners a free one-on-one happiness coaching session to truly discover how to choose happiness every day. Maybe you want to elaborate a little bit more on that, and really, I know you kind of talked about it, how you help people. First, do you work with any person, or are there specific groups of people that you focus on?
No, look, obviously, like, it depends on who comes to me, but mainly people around my age that are my normal clients. But I'm open to anyone. Look, as I said to you, I'm very passionate about helping people. So I just wanted to offer your listeners, if they're feeling stuck in an area of their life, or, they ask themselves that question that maybe they're not as happy as they could be, then, just click on the link and I'm happy to give you a free one-on-one session where we can go through and we can discover, where you're not happy and how we can maybe create some change to bring a bit more happiness into your life. Because the thing is, we forget this so often, but we only get one chance at life and we all deserve to enjoy it. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, that definitely. And everything that we do in life can be risky, and, you can lose all these different things. The only thing that we cannot get back is our own life. So, we can have money, lose the money, have houses, lose all of that. And then once you lose your life, that's it, right? So we got to be able to take care of that one way or the other.
Totally.
So if people
I often ask people, like, if you had a sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say, I often ask people just a question. If today you had to make a choice to give up your life or to give up your assets, your money, your house, what would you choose? Because the thing is, we're all striving for, often that money, that house and all that, but without that, we've got no life. So if you want to choose life, then, make that choice.
Yeah, exactly. No, I definitely love that. If people wanted to connect with you, where can they find you?
So my name's Carla Simpson. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I've got my podcast, Get Happy Hour, my book, Find Your Happy. But in your show notes, what I'll do is I'll send you the link to the free happiness session so people can just link onto that as well. But, please reach out because I love people. I told you I love chatting, and, I'm on a mission to help as many people as I can. So if I can help anyone, I'd love that.
Yeah, definitely. And you talk about already some of the things that you do on a day-to-day basis. What are some of the habits or rituals that you do besides the things you mentioned every day to help you stay in this positive state of mind?
Oh gosh, I've got a list a mile long. People might think I'm a bit of a nut, but I've been doing this for a long time, so I added a little different ones in. But I wake up and I meditate every day. Look, not every day. If there's something going on, I don't always meditate, but I'm pretty good at it. I always move my body, so I love to practice yoga, or I might go to the gym, or I just move. Makes me feel great. I eat pretty well, so I always make sure that, like, because what we feed our bodies is a big, makes us feel differently. So I always make sure I eat quite well. I'm very passionate about that. I read for an hour a day, as I said to you, because I love reading. I'm just a book nerd. Some people watch television, I read, whilst I do that, I love to sit in the sun with a coffee. So makes, fuels me. I write my gratitude every day. I jump in the ocean. I try and jump in the ocean every day. So I always feel like if you're in a funk, just get out in nature. Nature's teaching us so many lessons. And for me, it's winter here, as I mentioned, so it's quite cold. But every day I go through the same story of, I don't want to go in the water. It's too cold. It's too cold. But when I jump in, I just feel so amazing. It shifts everything for me. So I try and do that every day. I mean, again, I'm not perfect. But yeah, and then I make sure that I smile. I try and smile at people as I walk down the street. You know, I love to tell people I love them. You know, when I ring my mum, I'm like, I love you. She's like, okay. She's like, I think they sometimes get sick of me saying it. But you know, you just, why not? Why not be that positive energy? You know, I always think about the person I want to be. And this is something I do with my clients as well, is you meet someone who's a bit negative, who's, you know, that hard person to talk to, who's always complaining, and no one wants to be that person. So let's work at creating the person that you want to be, that person that bounces out of bed, you know, that does the things every day that makes standard. And I love that. That's when I listen to the podcasts. And so, yeah, that's a little, and then I do still do some work. I work with clients and I help them, and that, you know, it makes me feel great. I love that. I teach yoga every day, have my own studio here. So yeah, I'm living a great life. I'm very blessed.
No, that's awesome. One thing that you mentioned that actually I think is so critical is you know, you were talking about you have those little voices in your head, right? And obviously trying to have a very disciplined type of lifestyle is not always easy, right? Sometimes there's this quote that I like is, if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. If you do what is hard, your life will be easy. And so how do you battle all those thoughts that are in your head, right? Because I know that that's very challenging for people to be able to do that. You have all these voices, and you know, oh, just go and sit and watch TV, or hey, go eat the hamburger, or hey, go do this, or you know, all the things that are so easy, yet our life becomes hard. And to get into that routine and be very healthy, or all these different things, that can be pretty challenging. So how do you deal with that?
Oh, for sure. Don't worry. And my voice is always there. Always there. It's always telling me a different story. But I think when you practice meditation for a long time, I think this is what's really helped me, is you learn to find the space. So now, for example, when my body says, oh, Carl, you want to go sit on the couch and watch TV, there's like this moment where I think, do I really want to? Like, because sometimes I do, and that's fine. You know, I do love a good film and I would love a good TV show. But am I doing it because my voice is telling me, or because my soul's telling me? And, you know, you see this, I think about this all the time. Like, we get caught in traffic and we're stuck in a car with 4 windows, so no one can hear us. And there's people in front of us, so no one can, you know, move. It's not their person's fault. It's the way that, you know, traffic has. But a lot of us get stuck there and we start yelling, you know, get really angry and we get raged. And when you really stop and think about that, it's ridiculous, because we're in 4 corners, no one can hear us, and we can't do anything about the situation. So can we stop? Can we pause? And can we, you know, I think the biggest lesson is in that pause. Do we listen and react, or do we choose how we want to react? So yes, it's easier to get on the couch, but is that what you really want?
Yeah.
Like, no, truly, is that what you want, to sit on the couch for the next 5 hours and sit there and binge? You know, if it's what you want and you need that, then go and do it. But make sure it's what you want. Your intuition is telling you that, because often it's not. It's our mind telling us that. It's finding the difference between the head and the heart.
Yeah. No, I definitely love that. I definitely love that. I have a couple more questions for you before I let you go. One of them is, you've already given us a lot of great tips. If the people that are listening to us, if they're going through any kind of challenge, whatever that challenge might be, what is one thing or few things that they can start doing to start overcoming that challenge?
For sure. Well, I think like it's first, number one is awareness. So if you're aware that you're in a challenge or you're in a funk, that's step one. So, you know, how can you find a way out is often to call someone, have a chat. You know, I often find talking things out with someone who's a positive influence in your life is a good thing. So, you know, find that friend who's a positive person and give them a call and say, hey, I feel like I'm stuck in this. Or, you know, I often write it out, journal pros and cons as well. Like, why am I stuck in this? How does it make me feel? And how would I like to feel? So if this is where I am now, what would I like to do to get to there? So I write out that, like, in, you know, how I want to feel instead of how I do feel. I think that's a great way to just shift the mindset. I think, you know, writing out a list of, even if it does seem like a dream, like right now, but write out where you're stuck at and what you can do, little steps, little daily actions that can help you, get out of that. So for example, if it's a lot of people struggle with their weight, for example. And I know a lot of people feel stuck in that area. So, and sometimes it feels so like, oh, I can't go to the gym, I'm too unfit, or I can't do yoga, I'm flexible. Like people say it to me all the time. So what can we just start to do? Like a little, little steps, not change your whole diet, because that seems like, whoa, man, that's way too much. But maybe just start to drink one extra glass of water a day. Or can you walk to the end of your street and back every day? And then maybe in 2 weeks you add, 2 streets, or maybe in 2 weeks with the diet thing, you add in an extra cup of vegetables instead of, the chips for dinner. So I think it's like these little, it's like compounding. It's the same as building wealth in interest or whatever. You don't have to put away $10,000 today because, well, man, that's enough. But can you save $1 a day? And over a period of life, that's going to make a big shift. But I think number one is always awareness. If you're aware that you're stuck, then you know that you can get out.
Yeah. It's all those little steps, right? I mean, definitely little steps can lead to something big, and even sometimes you don't see it. And you just got to start doing those little things that do matter. And again, that's where people, I think a lot of times people want to see the fast results, or they want to see it now and they don't see it. And then they get frustrated, and then they stop doing whatever action that might be, right? Whether it's for business or
for sure.
weight, or whatever the case may be.
But I think you've just got to try and not always focus so much on the goal, as well as like try and enjoy the little changes. Because, when you start to get up and you start to walk and you start to move easier, you are just going to start to feel better. But you've got to keep putting in that effort, I climbed Everest Base Camp, and, everyone was like, oh, base camp, base camp, base camp. It was amazing. It was a journey. But, when you get to base camp, it's like the top of this rubble, and it says a little sign that says, welcome to base camp. And a lot of people are like, what, is that it? But for me, it was a whole journey up there. It was like the 16-day climb, coming through those emotions. And so I think it's always important to have a goal and to have that focus. But remember that life is not the days. Life is the moments. So that moment that you get up out of bed to go to put some shoes on, to go for a walk, that could just brighten your whole day. Don't think about the weight loss all the time. Think about what you can do today to make yourself feel better. And the rest will come.
Yeah, focus on the now moment. Focus on this second, this minute, and I really like the idea of that. I mean, life will be here whether we're here or not, and so we gotta enjoy that as much as we can. And so I definitely love that. Carla, I definitely had a really good conversation with you. Anything else you want to say before I let you go?
No, thank you so much for having me. It was so fun, and I just feel grateful to be able to connect to someone across, the other side of the world.
Yeah,
and I know
awesome.
It's late for you, so thank you it's so good. And to all your listeners, just thank you for tuning in. And if you did enjoy this and you want to get in contact, then please do, because, I'm happy to have a chat and just, have a laugh with you. And, let's see where we can shape things up for you and bring a bit more joy in. But to everyone out there, like, you're doing the one step, you're on this self-development growth, you're listening to this. So I think that's a, tip for yourself. So well done.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Carla, thank you again for being here. Really appreciate you being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me, everyone. And Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
Yes, there you go. And for the rest of you guys, do me a favor, please make sure you connect with Carla. I'm going to have all the information for you guys to see it, and share this message, because somebody needs to hear this message. I'll see you guys at the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Goodbye.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform, where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.